It's the thought of being young when your heart's just like a drum, beating louder with nowhere to guard it.
Hello friends, this is Divya Pandey. Today I will explain Water Resources chapter of class 10th, and for this first we need to look some fact about water resources. As we know, Earth is known as blue planet. Why? Because the surface of the Earth is almost covered 71% with water, out of which 96.5% of Earth's water is contained in oceans and seas as salty water, and there is only 3.5 Earth's water is as fresh, and most of that occurs in frozen state as ice sheets of Arctic, Antarctic, and there are some in tundra region, ice caps in mountains and glaciers. And only less than 1% of Earth's water is fresh water, which can be found in lakes and ponds and other water bodies. And do you know, India receives only 4% of the global precipitation. The total water resources of India are estimated at 1897 km square per annum. Despite the fact that the 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered with water, but still there are some countries and regions around the globe that suffer from the water scarcity. And what is water scarcity? What could be the possible reasons for water scarcity? How can we solve the problem of water scarcity? These are the queries that we need to address from this chapter. That brings the topic of water scarcity and the need for water conservation and management. Actually, the availability of water resources varies over space and time, mainly due to the variations in seasonal and annual precipitation. And we know that it is the rainfall that is not in our hand. What is in our hand is to control the over exploitation of water resources, excessive use and wastage of water resources, so that in the future we don't face water scarcity. Water scarcity may be defined as the shortage of water due to growing population and the consequent greater demand for water and food. As the growing population means the more food grain production, and for this water resources are being exploited to expand irrigation and irrigated areas in the dry season agriculture. So for the agriculture purpose, water is also required. You may have seen in many television advertisements that most farmers have their own wells and tube wells in their farms for irrigation to increase their produce. But have you ever wondered what this could result in? That we know that it may lead to falling groundwater levels, adversely affecting water availability and food security of the people. I think the second reason could be that after independence, India witnessed intensive industrialization and urbanization, which means the setting up more industries and the increasing population of urban areas. And yes, we know that industries and the multinational companies always improved the standard living of people, but it also exerted pressure on the existing freshwater resources because they need water to cool down their machines, and also for running these industries they need power, they need electricity, which comes from the hydroelectric power. In India, approximately 22% of the total electricity produced is hydroelectric power, which exert lots of pressure on the fresh water. Let's talk about the urbanization. Increased urbanization means more demand for water. See everyone, it is well known fact that for a high standard of living, people in every big cities and colonies have their own ground pumping devices to meet their water needs. which means more pressure on water and ultimately depleting the groundwater. And someday that groundwater will get vanished. And there could be more reasons for the water scarcity, such as the growing population and overuse and overexploitation of water resources, wastage of water resources, which is given in this slide. You can read this by yourself. So far we have discussed about water scarcity and its major causes. Now let's talk about the qualitative aspect of water. We know that the quality of water is not also good in India and other across the globe, and that is well known as water pollution. And the reason for the water pollution is the domestic and industrial wastage, pesticides, fertilizer used in agriculture. So it is also a reason for the scarcity of water resources. Now the question is, what can we do to solve the problem of water scarcity? How can we conserve and manage the water resources so that our upcoming generation don't face the problem of water scarcity? Now moving to next topic, that is multi-purpose river project and integrated water resources management. Now the big question is, how do we conserve and manage water? Yes, we have solution for this also. Archaeological and historical records in India have shown us that from the ancient time we have been constructing sophisticated hydraulic structures like dams, then we have built of a stone rubble reservoirs and the lake embankments, canals for irrigation. And now we have continued this tradition, but with the advanced technology. We are also building dams in most of our river basins. Let's have a look on hydraulic structures in ancient India. The historical and archaeological records have found that in the 1st century BC, there was a harvesting system channeling, controlling the flood over the river Ganga was built in the Sringverpur near Allahabad. In the same way, there was lakes and irrigation system were also built in the time of the Chandragupta Maurya. Evidences of sophisticated irrigation works have also been found in Kalinga, that is Odisha, Nagarjun Konda in Andhra Pradesh, Benur, which means Karnataka, Kolhapur in Maharashtra. And Bhopal Lake, one of the largest artificial lakes of its time, was also built in the 11th century. Now the second question is, what are dams and how do they help us in conserving and managing water? Basically, dam is a barrier across flowing water that obstruct, direct or retard the flow, often creating a reservoir, lake or impoundment. And dams has several types based on the structure and the purpose. Based on the structure, dams are can be categorized as timber dams, embankment dams, or masonry dams. But according to the height, dams may be large dams, maze dams, low dams, and medium height dams. To boost the economy of a nation, we need the rapid industrialization and growth of urban areas. And that is why after the independence, the Jawaharlal Nehru launched multiple purpose project, that is dams, because dams have multiple purposes, such as it can be used for the irrigation for the agricultural, and it can also used for the controlling floods, generating hydroelectricity, providing water for the domestic use, and it also supports afforestation and inland navigation, and it also used for the tourism purposes. That is why the Jawaharlal Nehru called it as the temples of modern India, because it was thought of as the vehicle that would lead and boost the economy of India. Now imagine a situation that if we fill a tank with water, over the time we will see some muddy sedimentation at the bottom level, and after that we can also see that some growth of natural vegetation and small aquatic life that will mix with water and pollute the water. So this is the first and foremost problem with the dams, that over the time water gets polluted, whatever we have stored in the reservoir. And the second problem is aquatic fauna also gets difficulty to migrate at the bottom of the reservoirs, because and whatever reservoirs we have created on the floodplains also get submerged, and the existing vegetation and soil also, leading to its decomposition over a period of time that will pollute the water. So I hope you are understanding what I am trying to say. And now the third problem is whenever we build a dam over the river, then first we have to clear the surrounding areas. It means the displacement of local communities, and often we have heard in the news that the local communities and local villages had to give up their land, livelihood, and their meager access and control over the resources for the greater good of the nation. So the question is, if the local people are not getting benefit from such project, then who is benefited? Perhaps the landowners, zamindars and large farmers, or it may be industrialists and few urban centers. Better irrigation facilities has also changed the cropping pattern in many regions of India, as farmers has been started shifting to water intensive crops or the commercial crops. Commercial crops are the crops that has more value in the market, and they required lots of water, such as sugarcane. This has great ecological consequences like salinization of the soil, which means the nutrient part will get vanished from the soil. So far, we have discussed 2 or 4 reasons of the disadvantages of dams. So we can easily say that after investing lots of money in building these dams also did create conflict between the people, because people did not get benefited from these. Some industrialists or large farmers always get benefit from these dams. Due to this, interstate water disputes also arise regarding the sharing of the cost and benefits of these multi-purpose project. You have must heard about the Krishna Godavari dispute, in which the objections was raised by the Andhra Pradesh governments. To enhance your knowledge, you must read about the Krishna Godavari disputes and other interstate water disputes also, and you can also check who solve the problem of water disputes in India. I hope you all have understood these topics very well, and if you like my content and effort and explanation, so please give me like and subscribe. Also share with your friends so that video can be accessed by everyone. And also please, if you have any suggestion related to the explanation, then please let me know in the comment section. Now the next question is, what should we do to conserve the water resources without any disadvantages and any conflict? And yes, we have solution for this as well, that is rainwater harvesting. Since India, people had in-depth knowledge of rainfall regimes, and they developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water, flood water, keeping with the local ecological conditions and their water needs. In the hilly and mountainous regions of India, people built diversion channels like the gulls or kuls of the western Himalayas for agriculture. In Rajasthan, there is common practice to store drinking water by the rooftop rainwater harvesting. This is very simple method, as we can see that the rainwater get stored on the roof, and through the pipe it get transported at the downside. In the floodplains of Bengal, people developed inundation channels to irrigate their fields. There was another method to store the water in the Jaisalmer and Johad in parts of Rajasthan, that is khadins. This is the image of khadins, which was built nearby the agricultural field that stored the rainwater and allowed the water to stand and moisten the soil. Palar Pani, which means rainwater, was also stored in the tankas in the parts of Rajasthan that was semi-arid and arid regions. Was in the summers, these were the extremely reliable source of drinking water when other rivers or other sources were dried. The common practice to store rainwater in the Meghalaya is rooftop rainwater harvesting. As we know that Meghalaya receives highest rainfall in the world, and that is why there is unique system to transport the water from the hilly top regions to the lower by the gravity through the bamboo pipes. Waters can be easily transported from the hilly top regions to the different plant sites. So in this way, we have read and understand the importance of water resources and what are the ways through which we can conserve the waters. And I hope this would be very informative for you all. If you like this video and my explanation, so please don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Thank you.